It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn. I'm excited to be with you today. As I always am, I have two very dear friends of mine, some gentlemen that I actually met. The first person that I met is Anthony Ball. He's the vice president of Music Moves AR, Music Moves Arkansas. And Anthony introduced me to his partner in crime, who is Reginald James. Reginald is the president of Music Moves AR. And these two brothers are doing some amazing things here in Northwest Arkansas and expanding the understanding of the power of music and specifically the power of Black music here in the United States, here in Northwest Arkansas. And so Anthony, if for those of you that have listened to this podcast before, you may remember that Anthony was on with Roe Bailey, and we talked about Juneteenth. And they do a special event then, and we'll talk about all their events throughout this episode. But this is going to be a great episode for you. I think you guys will really enjoy this. Several of the events that Anthony and Reginald and Music Moves AR put on are events that you've probably heard of, like the Freedom Festival and others. And so without further ado, I just want to welcome Anthony Ball and Reginald James to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. How are you guys doing?
Thank you, man. I feel like I need to
Thank you so much. Right. I'm going.
Yeah, right. I know. I should have my little music come in, so my little intro stuff. But no, it's all good.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate you guys coming out and really just sitting down with me. And this was a long time coming. I think we had sat down and had lunch almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
You took me to Eat My Catfish, and shout out to Eat My Catfish because they've been on the podcast, and we talked about just what you were working on and what you were trying to do. Mm-hmm. This was kind of during the pandemic, and we've now come out of that, and events are back in full effect, and you guys have put on several of events since then. But why don't you, for the uninitiated, for the listener, just tell them a little bit about Music Moves Arkansas and what you, Reginald, you can go first and just kind of talk about that. And I've got some specific questions for Anthony.
Well, the dream for Music Moves kind of birthed out of conversations and work that we were already doing in the Northwest Arkansas area as it relates to students, performances, and stuff like that. So we wanted to have a vehicle that we could bring education and performances together about Black music and the contribution of Black music, particularly to the American music tapestry, right? Mm-hmm. So in doing that, we said, okay, let's do it. And then all of a sudden, man, the community starts jumping in with us. A few corporate sponsors started jumping in there with us. And now we're able to do this at a pretty high level, just making sure that our community, particularly Northwest Arkansas, we want to get it other places, but Northwest Arkansas is where we are right now. Just making sure that they understand the importance of Black music and art as it relates to the American arts tapestry.
Yeah, no. And I love that. And I think it's important to know. I mean, I just recently, sitting right in the seat that you're sitting in, I had Alvin Singh, who is the great nephew of Leadbelly. Mm. And he was talking about, Leadbelly's, what he introduced with the 12-string guitar and the type of music that he did. And he was a tremendous influence for Johnny Cash.
Right.
And just, sometimes we don't understand where this music came from. And the crazy thing that he blew my mind away was how Leadbelly was the influence for Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. So right? So you're thinking, he's down here in the South creating this music, and then you already have generations later, you have young men up in the Pacific Northwest who are influenced by music that was created back in the 30s.
Right.
So you're right. The power of music is something special. And most of the people listening to this that are Nirvana fans probably had no idea that was the case. And that's like, what? I had no idea. Dude died too young. Side note, he died way too young. He was a very talented musician. But regardless, I think it's not that point is not lost on what you just said about just kind of creating an awareness. Mm-hmm. And even so much so that you guys are going into the schools around Northwest Arkansas, and teachers are opening up their classrooms to you to educate the kids on the power, not just the power of music, but the origins of a lot of different musical styles.
That has been something that it's so beautiful to watch and to see how it lights up for young people to be able to understand even the instrumentation that was used to create some of this music, early drums, earlier African drums or whatever. When you put all those pieces together, like you're able to engage learners. For those that need hands-on, okay, here the lesson will work for you hands-on. For those that just want to hear information, okay, there's some information that's there. There are just so many engagement points, which obviously keeps students on task, and I think that's one of the reasons why the teachers will allow us to come into the classroom, because these days you're not going to be able to, you can't get in a classroom if you're not able to, hold the attention of the young people and be able to teach at the same time. So, man, we're so happy about that. Yeah. It's great. It's great.
That's awesome. And so you've even created a curriculum.
Yes.
That you collaborated with Dr. Jeffrey Murdoch.
Yes.
From the University of Arkansas, the Dr. Jeffrey Murdoch, who also won a Grammy Award winner, 2021. It seems like just yesterday that happened, he's a dear friend, and we're trying to get him on the podcast. He's just so busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's an amazing, resource that a lot of people aren't even aware of right here in our own backyard at the U of A.
Yes. And that's exactly why this is important, because those individuals that are doing amazing things, that are doing things, honestly, that only a few people in the world are able to do, are right here in Northwest Arkansas, right here in Arkansas as it relates to Black music and culture. And so, man, we want to be a part of that. And I can tell our community wants to be a part of that too, because they're very receptive to the information that we're bringing. So
that makes perfect sense. So Anthony, why don't you just introduce yourself real quick? And you're both musicians, but a lot of people who probably don't know Anthony's name, but you've seen him on the drum kits of several concerts around Northwest Arkansas. But just introduce yourself, and just for our audience, just to get a little bit of a better presentation of who you are.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I moved here 2007. I had a full scholarship to go to the U of A to study music. So I've been part of music all my life. Subsequently, community has always been tied to my music and how we did music. When you had music, we were at church and people were coming together. When you had music, it was at a family reunion and we were coming together. So, music and community has always kind of been one of those things that's always kind of traveled together for me in my life. So as I came to Northwest Arkansas and there was no expression of Black, music in Northwest Arkansas, I kind of started playing like rock and stuff that I didn't know was, Black roots music. It was just foreign to where I was, coming from an area where it was gospel music, some blues and stuff like that from West Memphis. But fast forward, man, Reggie and I, we created this vehicle, this 501c3, so we can kind of continue to work what we were already kind of doing. He's an educator and taught in high schools in Memphis. I taught at Heritage High School for a couple years and stuff. So we've just always kind of been in education and always been in music and stuff like that. So, but most people know me, maybe for Funk Factory. Most people in Northwest Arkansas know Funk Factory, a party band in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, you guys did a show in Gully Park, part of the Gully Park series.
We did a show in Gully Park, yeah.
I heard I was out of town, of course, but I heard that was like, not that you could sell out Gully Park, but it was a lot of people there.
There was a lot of people.
There. It was their largest, back-to-back years, we've had their largest attendance for the last 2 years. So we're excited about that, man. It's a band, man, of folks that just love entertaining and playing good music, man. It's one of those things where we've never had a band fight. We've never had a fight that happened at our show. Yeah. It's just always good vibes, man. Like kids dancing, the parents dancing, the grandparents dancing. Right. It's a family affair, man, and we really, really loved that project. We're actually hitting 10 years this year.
Congratulations.
So we were thinking about it in our group meeting. It was like, man, how long have we been doing this? It seemed like it's stretching out a little bit. And it was 10 years, man. So this year we'll be celebrating 10 years being together.
That's awesome. Congratulations to both of you for putting the time and effort in. As you know, anything worth having is worth fighting for. You got to put the time in. So now you guys are now based in Rogers. You have a space up there, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Rogers, why specifically Rogers, and what if you're about to kind of launch or open up a brand new workspace up in Rogers.
Mm-hmm. So Music Depot is the name of the venue. It's the Music Depot. This is a learning center and a live music venue. Well, in the evenings, traditional live music space where you have tons of shows, local, regional, traveling, touring bands that'll be coming through. But in the daytime, we'll be able to continue our education and curriculum, as well as whether it's an artist residency that'll be here, or workshops, clinics, lectures, things like that as well too. Like I mentioned, we're all educators. So that's going to be a big part of what we do. But it was important because when you come to Northwest Arkansas, it was important, if you want to go and you want to go hear some jazz, or you want to go and you want to hear some blues, where do you go? Where do you go to find that kind of? Where do you go to find those kind of places? So placemaking was very, very important when it comes to the space that we created.
Yeah. So and I apologize. I just wanted you can move the mic back a little bit, but you're perfect now.
Okay, I'm
so
good.
Yeah,
right,
you're
cool.
good. So from a placemaking standpoint, that turned out to be a really great location for you because originally your offices were down in Fayetteville, right?
Yeah. In which they still
offices
are.
Still are.
Our office is still there. But yeah, downtown Rogers, man, is becoming a very, very electric space. Like
it's got such a cool vibe.
Yeah,
to it.
man.
Yeah.
We were looking in the more historic, South Fayetteville for where we were going to set up shop. But man, that Rogers space kept popping up to us from all kind of ways. Mm-hmm. So, and we've always done stuff at Rail Yard. People have been to shows there. And back in the day before, maybe half of the audience were in Northwest Arkansas. The Little Rogers Theater was a beautiful place.
Sure.
That we used to do jazz shows and Christmas shows, stuff like that, man. So we're just really excited about the ramp up that's going on in Northwest Arkansas. I love all the additions to downtowns. It's very, very much so needed. When we had the article that came out that said Northwest Arkansas is the next Austin. For me, to have places like the Music Depot, the Rail Yard, George's Majestic, I mean, you need spaces like that to be proof of those kind of articles. So we're loving the direction Northwest Arkansas is going.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do feel like I've had Dan Harris on and some others, and they've talked about, like, he had spent some time at George's Majestic. And, I talked to Brian Crown from the AMP, and, there's just a lot of stuff happening around here. And people are always surprised when I tell them the groups that come here to play, because it's like, Northwest Arkansas is coming up. And, Dave Matthews comes here quite frequently. And, so many tremendous people. And I always hit people up with this little historical significant fact that Earth, Wind, and Fire threw a tremendous concert right out on the back of the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. And a lot of people don't know that. And I'm like, well, that's where the original AMP used to be. Right. And so, little history lesson for folks. But yeah, I mean, and music is such a uniter. Right. And so I think what you guys are doing is so significant because you're able to unite different ones. I think it's hard for us to complain around music because we all have stuff that we like as far as that's concerned. And I remember growing up, I had a wide and eclectic, varied taste when it came to music. I listened to a little bit of everything. I liked Cream. I liked Jefferson Starship. I like Steely Dan. I listen to a lot of stuff my father listened to.
Donald Fagen,
totally. And so, but I mean, it's just the nice thing about it. And then, of course, I grew up in the heartbeat of hip hop, where Rappers Delight, all those guys literally lived around the corner from me. So, it's just kind of interesting. The Sugar Hill Gang, they were, there's all these different musical genres, and all of us as individuals have some connection to one or the other. I think the important piece is to understand how powerful music can be when it comes to unifying people. And Lord knows in this day and age, where we are today in 2024, we need as much unification as possible. And music, you guys are using music to do that right here in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, I tell you, when you start talking about unification and you start thinking about, we always think about cultures, but even when you look within cultures, good music unifies people across age demographics too, right?
Yeah, totally.
So whether it's young people up to the age of 18 or from 18 to 35, or if you're from, 35, 40, all the way up to 60, 70, 80, if it's good music, people still will gather around that. And that's one of the things about, when you start talking about soul music, like it doesn't matter. People want to hear that music, but also, man, that age demographic thing just kind of spans stuff out for everybody, because it doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. If a Aretha song pop on,
That's it.
People start jumping and bouncing around. Yes, it does. It unifies us across cultures, but also within culture. Man, those age demographics they come around, and now a lot of the songs that my kids thought, I thought Beyonce did. Be like, no, baby, no. Before she did it, and I ain't taking nothing from the Beehive because I do support the Beehive too. But I just want everybody to know that contribution had already been made 40 years prior by, such gifted and great songwriters. So.
Right. Well, there's just so much truth to the statement that there is nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Mm-mm.
I mean, Leadbelly in the 30s had his 12-string guitar.
That's right.
And was writing songs around, the Jim Crow South and the impact that was having on African Americans. And you actually still have rappers today that are writing lyrics. I was just watching the Tupac documentary on Hulu, which is absolutely amazing. It's called Mama and Me. It's about Tupac and the relationship with his mother. Mm. It's a 5-part series. It was produced and directed by what was it? The guys that did Menace to Society and the Hughes brothers. The Hughes brothers. So right, or Reginald, it's the Hughes brothers.
I'm looking at his face.
So I'm just
see him.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's not John Singleton, is it?
No. It was the guys that did Menace to Society, and I want to say I think their last name is Hughes. I'll look it up and I will certainly throw it in the show notes. But I say all that to say that a lot of what Tupac was talking about came out of his experience. Mm-hmm. And in the same way what Leadbelly was talking about came out of his experience, talking about the Scottsboro boys and their trial. And so, and of course, Alvin, his great nephew, said that Leadbelly was actually the originator of the phrase "stay woke."
Mm-hmm. I heard,
which was really interesting when you think about it, because we're talking back in the 30s, right? Now we use woke. We're using woke now all over the place, and people are using woke as a pejorative. But the reality is that this was used in a whole different context back in the day. It was actually used around a matter of life and death.
That's right.
So that was and I think it's interesting the way that sometimes words can be co-opted, but it's interesting how a lot of these stories that we hear are tied to music in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. And it is the beauty.
It is the beauty of it. And it's how we understand things. Mm-hmm. And so you guys must feel like there is a heavy mantle on you to kind of carry this out, right? Because I know some days you probably are like, man, if only I could reach X number of students, if only I could reach X number of young people and help magnify their understanding of things, because then that means you can start opening and expanding their mind, not only to possibilities, but just also to an understanding of how things are currently and how they could be.
Yeah.
I'm happen to be a member of another shout out to the University of Arkansas. They have the Black Sacred Music Institute, which is right here in Northwest Arkansas. Only place of its kind in the country. It's the only place where you can get a degree in Black sacred music, right? And so again, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Murdoch, Dr. Herzog are the director and co-director, assistant director, and they talked about that this past summer, in the summer of 2023, being in the inaugural group for that program. They talked about how it is important that we're cultural bearers of the information. Most information there's a lot of written information in the world, but most information makes it through language, through music. And so how it is important, it's imperative that we are, as culture bearers, making sure that the message and the music continues to go down from generation to generation. Like we have that, you say amount placed on us, but even as a society, we have an obligation to make sure that that's passed down to other generations so that they'll know the stories, understand the why behind the songs, which is, I hear you talking more about that, which always makes us happy. I want to hear all the history about every song that you can bring up. I want to hear the history.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you're sitting here saying that, I'm just thinking, I can think of every song has a story, how they're created. And I remember just, kind of listening to, some historical lessons, like Quincy Jones has a ton of them, just about how the origination of a single song. Man. And it's kind of
about Quincy.
Man. Because again, you don't realize why people so much stuff was written for Michael Jackson, that people said, well, only Michael could sing this because it was, you know what it was saying? It was just so perfectly set up for him. But it's always interesting when you hear the backstory of how things came about and why they came about in the first place. And so that's why I think the programs that you guys are doing going into the schools can certainly help relate for these young kids today and figuring out and understanding things, right? Because I know even with my kids, I'm very cognizant about what I let them listen to. And I'm not a big fan of certain types of rap that doesn't necessarily edify my kids as far as I want them to be edified and help them to grow. But I also let them make their choices too, right? And then I try to correct them when
my parents did the same thing. They didn't agree with
everything
I listened to, but they wanted me to be able to hear the message. It was their job to teach me, right? Which is, as a parent, it's our job to teach them. But they also wanted us to be able to filter it, and there's no other way for us to filter it. And unless you hear it, you got to know what it is that you're listening to.
Exactly. So, and a level of discernment comes along.
Yes.
I mean, I know you have kids, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and I know you have young kids, and our kids are, some of our kids are probably, my youngest is 13, and I'm constantly on him about what he's listening to because, you know, the power of the mind comes through not just your eye gate, but also your ear gate.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what you're filling your mind with through your ears can have a very profound effect at how you continue to develop.
Oh, yeah.
Especially young men, right? Like any young man. I don't care who you are. I mean, the prefrontal cortex of a young man is so underdeveloped until
25, 26
or older. So, you know, I mean, it requires a little bit of patience, right? Before you kind of get there.
Because I get as much good information in there as you can.
Exactly. Because I didn't know nothing until I was 28. I'm here to repeat it. I know when I was in my early 20s and I had graduated from Howard, I figured I knew it all, but I didn't. And it took about 8 or 9 years before I finally got there. And I tell my kids that all the time. And that's why I tell my 19-year-old, I'm like, look, dude, you got another 10 years to go. Yeah. Just let it marinate. Let it keep working through some things. You're going to make some mistakes and keep going from there. So, but I mean, music is a very strong part of that growth and development. And I mean, I'm just certainly sitting here on the sidelines rooting for you guys and, you know, whatever way that we can help as you continue to expand Music Moves AR. What is your hope for the next 2 to 5 years in terms of what you'd like to accomplish? You've got this great new facility. I know you have plans. There's always going to be a new musical production to be done. But what is your hope in the next 2 to 5 years?
If you're talking strictly about Music Moves, it just so happens that we have a board meeting coming up this Wednesday, right? So our board member, you're getting a little taste of what's getting ready to come down the pipe with them and some of the things that we've discussed in the last probably 9 months. But we want to see the footprint just a little bit bigger in education. Dr. Colbert, John L. Colbert, is on our board. And so the importance of, we talk about music and music history, but now we want to talk about careers in music that might not necessarily be related to the creative aspect of it, but there are other careers that are in the industry that we want to start sharing. We just had somebody from Springdale School District just reached out and asked us about coming and speaking to their young people about what do those other careers look like? What does the engineer look like?
Yeah.
What does, I mean, you know, what does the lighting director look like? It's a production now everywhere. And those particular jobs are in demand. Like
hugely.
Yes. Yeah. Especially coming out of, you just said COVID, you know, when we started coming out of COVID, now the production aspect is very, very high. And so we are excited to talk to everybody. Yeah, we're going to continue to talk about history. We're going to continue to talk about it, but we also want to talk about how do we build our community in the race and in the way that we're going to be able to facilitate being a music community. It's not just having all creatives here, because it's going to take more than just creatives in order to sustain the music community. So that's where we're kind of headed in that direction. And we shout out to Crystal Bridges. I don't want to leave them out. Crystal Bridges, for the last couple of years, we've been a part of their mobile art lab. And so we're able to go from city to city for 7 months. So we go to Rogers, we go to Bentonville Boys and Girls Club, we go to Springdale's Boys and Girls Club, we go to Siloam Springs, Boys and Girls Club, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and even Tahlequah, because they said they wanted to make sure that this art form made it into those spaces.
Sure.
And so that's what we want to do. We just want to increase the footprint of Black music and art and culture in the Northwest Arkansas region. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, certainly, it is Black music created by African Americans, but it's for everyone.
For everybody.
It's for everybody. Man. Let's be clear about that.
If you pay attention to that list he just gave you, those are predominantly white areas.
Right. Oh, yeah. No,
and this is what we're really, really excited about, being able to share these stories. I heard somebody say, if you don't tell the history, it's like it never happened.
Exactly.
So it's important for us to carry along these stories so people will know about the contributions, as we go into these new spaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I remember as I'm sitting here listening, I had Dr. Murdoch come and do a talk with my Rotary Club. He blew them away because he basically gave an oral history lesson of music and went way back and talked about minstrel shows, the whole 9 yards, and brought American music and brought himself right into the present day. And I mean, I think to a person, everybody was just blown away at the end of it. And those are the kind of resources that we have right here in our own backyard in Northwest Arkansas. So, I mean, anybody listening to this, if you're a teacher or you manage or have a group of people that you are constantly educating and helping them in different ways, this could be an opportunity or a chance for you to connect with Music Moves AR and bring these folks in to give you some really valuable lessons.
Be glad to.
Around the power of music and how it is impacting so many. Because certainly that is, I mean, these guys don't just play instruments, they don't just perform, but they also teach. And I think that's a big, big part of why anybody that's listening to this can support Music Moves AR and also can find ways to share your platform with them because they have a great story to tell.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So tell me, what is it about Northwest Arkansas that's so special, right? I mean, you're from West Memphis, which is on the east side of the state, Anthony. And then Reginald, where are you from originally?
We moved around quite a bit, but the last stop was in eastern Arkansas. I was in Marianna, Arkansas.
Oh, Marianna,
so I claimed Marianna, Arkansas. I became a young man there. So
there you go.
I'm good. That's where I graduated from high school from.
Okay.
And so, so we both from eastern Arkansas.
So what does Northwest Arkansas mean to you guys? Was it what you thought it would be? I mean, you came here in 2007. What year did you get here?
Man, a long time ago, 1992.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've been here even long. Way. Okay. A long time.
A long time.
Yeah. So what has Northwest Arkansas, what does it mean to you guys as far as what you're seeing now? Because for a frame of reference, I've been here since 2014, so I haven't been here nearly as long as you guys have been here. Mm-hmm. You've seen the changes, Reginald, for sure. Oh, yes. And Anthony, you've seen the changes. Oh, yeah. And even I've seen the changes in the eight and a half years that I've been here. But what does this area mean to you guys?
Man, for me, man, it's meant opportunity. Like as soon as you think Northwest Arkansas, it's opportunity. Even the challenges that I've seen, it's always been opportunity. Before I even moved here, I was on a Boys and Girls Club all-star basketball team when I was in 6th grade. And we traveled up here to play at Bud Walton or something like that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You got your Letterman jacket on, by the way, folks. Oh, yeah, y'all can't see this, but I'm gonna take a picture of him. But he's got his W Letterman jacket on, which I think is kind of cool. So I lost mine. I don't know where mine is.
I just took this one from my uncle back home. So I'm wearing it proudly.
That's awesome.
It's a junior high jacket. Just so we all clear out there, everybody. It's a junior high jacket.
That's
West
all right.
Memphis Wonder.
We're gonna have to talk about the history of West Memphis one of these old days.
That's funny.
Wonder was the first Black high school, for West Memphis before it integrated, and then it broke into an elementary and a junior high. But there's a lot of pride behind this W.
Sure.
We can talk about it later.
So that was your first introduction. You came up, you played at the Bud Walton Arena, which I'm sure for you was like a big deal.
Oh man, so I didn't know much about the Razorbacks. We're 5 hours away, and then we're right next to Memphis with Calipari. So basketball was big there. I think most of the football fans in West Memphis, we're right on the bridge line by Memphis. So it's either probably Missouri, like Ole Miss or Arkansas.
Sure.
So I didn't grow up I just knew we were leaving town. I've never left town in the way that we did. So My mom's a single mom, so I just remember it being so peaceful and so easy going up here. We were on the campus. It was during the summer. Nobody was on campus. So it was just a peaceful place to be. So when I got here, I was like, man, people love art and culture here. Like from the food to the music, all those things. So after I kind of got into the community, I was like, man, I want to kind of give back what I grew up with to Northwest Arkansas and add our little spices to this little gumbo in Northwest Arkansas. So that's kind of how I got the ball rolling. My wife and I, we was like, man, there's nothing to do. She was like, why don't you do something? Like, you know, all these people, you have all these resources, like put them together and put something out there. And it just went from there.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you took that trip up here back in junior high and it impacted you that much. And then for you, Reginald, I mean, going back to 92, you've really seen the differences that have taken place here. And so I'd love for you just to kind of share just a little bit of your experience.
They won a basketball championship in that time, man.
Oh, I know. Well, listen, actually, quietly, and I tell people this all the time, I was a huge Nolan Richardson fan in the 90s. I wanted them honestly, they should have 2 banners in that arena. They should have won twice. Long story short, I've always been proud of what he was able to do, especially as a black coach in the SEC.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever seen SEC Storied, but they did a really good program on him. I thought it was really, really good. So I definitely have a lot of respect for what he was able to do here. And I was just at the game the other day and they showed him up on the Jumbotron and I was like, oh man, I love that they always are giving him his flowers.
Royalty, man.
You know, his name is on the court, but they're always giving him his flowers too. And I really appreciate that, you know, and he's well regarded and respected. He has a horse farm here in Fayetteville. But I mean, it's just cool to see that. But go ahead.
It brings to light even the reason that we're here, right? Because the stories continue to be told. You might have known him as a great coach, like, you know, and I'm saying like in black spaces, they were like, man, it's pretty much John Thompson and Nolan Richardson. Like that was pretty much it. And so in black community, okay, they were embraced. We knew like these guys are the GOAT. They won at almost every level. And Nolan did win at every level. Literally, he won a title at every level. So we know those things. But to turn around and flip it to where as they continue to tell the stories over the years, because when he left, of course, you know, when he left U of A, it wasn't particularly the way it should have been.
Right.
But as people continue to tell the story, it started, you could see like this pulse happen in Northwest Arkansas to where everybody's like, wait a minute, man, this guy he was and still will be regarded as one of the best to ever coach the game. Yeah. And then it brings it full circle and there's recognition there because the story was continuing to be told. It's the same for music.
Absolutely.
As we continue to tell the stories about the creative parts of the music and why we do the music, then it's going to do the same thing. Northwest Arkansas has always been, since I've been here, it loves music. Yeah. Northwest Arkansas loves music and has had numerous large, they didn't start off large. You might have been at, what was that, JR's Light Bulb, or you were over at this other place where Garth Brooks came when he was relatively a nobody or whatever. I'm just saying, so Oscar Peterson was here. Like all of these people have been through Northwest Arkansas. Yeah. So it's always had an ear for music. But now we start, I guess the next iteration of is we know what music's supposed to sound like, even good music. And I don't like to use that term, but I think everybody knows what I'm saying. Good music. But now let's talk about the reason, the passion behind that music. And I think that's the next iteration of stories that'll be told that'll help push this a little further down the road.
Right. Yeah. And that's exciting. And that's kind of what you guys are doing. You've got several programs. You have the Arkansas Black Music and Film Expo.
Yes.
That you're a part of. Of course, I mentioned the Freedom Festival earlier. That happens in June. And you were saying, I guess when you first did it, it was about 600 people that were in attendance. In the last one, how many were there? 4,300. Yeah. That's 1,000 with a T. So gospel celebrations you've done. You put on an amazing concert. Folks, for those of you that are listening, I love a gospel artist named Fred Hammond. He used to be part of this group called Commission, but Fred went out on his own and has some of the greatest gospel albums that have ever been created. Pioneer. And he came and performed at Crystal Life Cathedral Church right over there, right on the north side of town in Fayetteville. That was an amazing concert, to say the least. It was a very intimate concert. I was like, I could smell Fred Hammond's breath. That's how close I was to him. It was amazing. So that was awesome. You got a Good News and the Blues program.
Yes.
And then, of course, the curriculum, which we mentioned before. Now, are you guys doing anything with Orson Weems and the Music Education Initiative? Because it seems like there's kind of an overlap there with some of the stuff that you guys are talking about and what Orson is working on with regard to just kind of creating opportunities for folks to get involved with the music industry.
We partnered in the past. They did a documentary called Take Me to the River, and we were the music directors for that. But we're definitely looking forward to working with him more in the future. Okay. He's doing a lot when we talk about the gig community. We need jobs outside of the creatives, sound guys, stage hands. He's doing a great work with the library and stuff like that. The roadies. With helping, you have to have those kind of people. Right. I know I got several friends that own production companies in Northwest Arkansas, and they're flying people in from all over the country because we don't have enough gigs. Here. So he's doing some very, very important work in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, I heard a story, and this is kind of off subject, but they were telling a story about how, and again, this is a terrible example, but Taylor Swift gave bonuses to everybody, even the truck drivers that are part of the Taylor Swift tour. Like she took care. She's really well known for taking care of everybody, but they all got like $100,000 bonuses. Wow. Like everybody.
Wow.
If the breakdown,
caterer, you name it, they all got it. So.
Look, if the breakdown is something in the communicative process,
right,
the concert is dead.
It's dead. Yeah. It's dead. Yeah.
It's dead. It's dead. So
it's dead. Each person is valuable in their own right.
Most people don't know those level of productions. You have you have to start weeks ahead. Start setting up.
Oh yeah.
When Garth Brooks came to Northwest Arkansas, Semi Trucks was here days before he got here to start laying stuff out. Yeah. It's a huge deal to have those people that help the shows go over.
I think Beyonce is helping, like with that last production that she just did, and kind of showing everybody behind the scenes how much work. Now, that's not even talking about the bed of work that brought her in that moment in time with her talent, but to talk about how much actual technical work had to be done to pull that off.
Exactly.
Those careers are not going anywhere.
They're not. And actually, because of the way musicians get compensated and paid, they're always going to be defaulting and utilizing live performances.
That's right.
Because that's actually where the money is, and you have to do that. Until they fix the residual benefits of streaming and streaming music, live events are going to be where it is. And so,
and even more importantly, man, that's what every creative lives for.
Yeah.
For an audience to accept their art. So, I mean, just to piggyback on it's forever going to be here. But I'm excited about the growth that's happening in Northwest Arkansas, because you talk about all these. I mean, there's a new theater that's coming to downtown Springdale, so there's just going to be more and
I'm
more
excited
opportunities.
About that.
Exposure.
Yeah, man. We got the
more
Greek theater that's in the back of the U of A that can be used a lot more. So there's so much opportunity in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, it really is. And anybody listening to this should know that. I certainly want to encourage our listeners to the I Am Northwest Arkansas tribe. Please, if you can, I really want you to support what Music Moves AR is doing. Right here in your own backyard, on their website, there is a link to get involved. You can, because they're a nonprofit, you can Cash App them, you can send them some money Venmo-wise, you can go give online. There's a lot of different ways. You can even give of your time if they're doing an event like the Freedom Festival. They need volunteers. So please reach out to Anthony and to Reginald and just say, hey, I heard about you guys on I Am Northwest Arkansas, and I'm a music lover, and I'd love to support what you guys are doing, whether your time, your talent, or however you want to do it.
Appreciate it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, as we wind up, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you as they're listening to this?
So all the contact points are there on our website, www.musicmovesar.com. There's a contact tab there. that can come straight to us. So that's the best way to get a hold of us.
To reach out. Okay, perfect. So you guys have heard it here first, musicmovesar.com. And
we also have social media as well too.
Yeah,
so Instagram and Facebook, we have those channels, and we have a YouTube that I have a lot of our performances, curriculum snippets, stuff like that as well too.
And check out the Music Depot, which is right downtown, 206 West Walnut Street.
Yes, sir.
And beautiful downtown Rogers, Arkansas.
Right on the bricks.
Yeah. And if you don't know it, if you're not familiar with the area, you're thinking about moving here to take a job, and check out Rogers. Visit all the cities, Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville, Springdale, Lowell, Eureka Springs. I mean, just so many great spaces here in Northwest Arkansas to really take it all in. And, certainly you can always reach out to us here at I Am Northwest Arkansas, and we can give you some guidance. But we will encourage you to just check out our website at iamnorthwestarkansas.com, and we'll make sure that we plug you in the best way that we know how. As we close out, because I want to do this, and I'm trying to do this more, certainly in 2024 and beyond. But Anthony, Reginald, where's your favorite place to go break bread when you're hanging out with family or friends, or just want a good meal? Where should people go? And I don't want to get you in trouble with all your friends at all restaurants, right?
You're not going to get me in trouble with that.
Because it's hard. But I'm going to say, I'm making you just give me one answer with the caveat that we know that there are others. But just give me the first one that comes to mind right now. Doesn't mean that I have a hard time with it. So
I do, man. What we talking about at as my grandma said, we talking about the first of the month, or we talking about what day is it now?
Right. That's funny. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Doc, I'll let you get them, Doc.
Man, I'm going to use this opportunity to give a shout out to one of my good friends. Man, I got so many friends. I go to everybody. I love all of our local spots, man. You put me in a terrible position, Randy.
I know, man.
I'm going to give a shout out to Chicken Heads, man. I'm a chicken guy. We live up here with George Chicken
capital of the world.
Tyson Chicken.
Yes.
So I'm the chicken guy. So I'm going to give a huge shout out to them. I really want to throw some others in there, but I'm going to be obedient to our
and they are a newer outlet, I think, has opened in the last maybe year and a half, 2 years. And they've actually been at the Black Expo.
Yeah, man.
And they also, somebody just told me the other day, they do a vegan chicken wing.
They do
I'm going to have to check that out.
You let me know how it go, because I'm not the first to eat anything. So you let me know how it go. If it's good, I'm going to try it out.
Okay.
I love the chicken gizzards over there. They got some good chicken gizzards too.
Yeah, they do. Right. They do. Let me go. I'm going to go on and say, for those real, I'm going to have to go with Herman's. I'm going to go with Herman's.
Herman's is a classic. So,
because the ribs fall off the bone over there. So I have to go with old Herman's over there with Nick and Carrie over there.
And it's one of those places where, like, if you look at the outside of Herman's facility, you're like, wait a minute, what is this? But it's always those places.
That's Northwest Arkansas.
Those holes in the wall where the food is amazing.
Yeah.
So
that is Northwest Arkansas.
Yes.
Can I give you one more spot that you probably don't know about?
Yeah.
I'm going to be surprised if you know about it, because you got to be kind of a homer to know about this one. Lucky Luke's.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky
Luke's,
man.
Their chicken wings are out of this world.
Man, he's smoking over there.
He is doing it. So,
okay, so you're
I know.
I get around. Okay.
That's why I am Northwest Arkansas.
Yes, sir.
I get around.
Okay.
But like you guys, I run into trouble because I have so many friends that are chefs. It's like, and it's funny, as we're recording this, we just had two chefs that have already been nominated before, but were nominated in the Southern category by the James Beard Award folks. So Chef
good.
Matthew Cooper from Conifer and Chef Raphael from Yayos and up there in Bentonville.
He's great,
he is.
Chef he made Reggie eat veggie tacos. His
veggie tacos are legit.
Amazing, man.
His veggie tacos are legit.
Doc, I didn't know that there was a such thing.
Oh, there is such a thing.
I'm from Eastern Arkansas, born in Mississippi. You talking about veggie?
You mentioned one on your phone call, Monty though.
Marty, man. Marty from Cafe New Orleans.
Man.
Yeah, shout out to Marty.
Now we can do a whole nother episode
talking about the food.
Listen, I'm going to be doing some more food episodes coming up this year, but yeah, absolutely. We will have to do that. And I'll have to invite you guys back to talk about some of your favorite spots.
Anytime.
So that way you won't get in trouble because you'll mention them all.
I want to mention them all, man.
So, yeah.
But I'm glad that all of you all brought up Cafe Royale.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
glad.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
I love her.
Well, man,
Me too. She's incredible.
Yeah, she is the perfect. Marty is just like you guys. It's a perfect example of the types of human beings that we have here in Northwest Arkansas that are making a difference on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
That includes you guys and what you guys are doing with Music Moves AR and how you're impacting the next generation. Please just keep doing it.
That's what we hope.
Don't stop. Keep going. Amen. So that's what it's all about. So,
thank you.
Well, anyway, Anthony Ball, Reginald James, thank you guys from Music Moves AR. Thank you for joining us today. You can check them out at musicmovesar.com. And certainly this was a very enlightening conversation. So I appreciate you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast.
No, thank you so much, man. The work you do is very, very necessary and important. So thank you for including us on it.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. We come to you with a brand new episode every Monday, rain or shine. Remember, we are here to make Northwest Arkansas just a little bit easier to navigate, no matter whether you're just moved here, whether you're thinking about moving here, or whether you've been a lifelong resident. We hope to help you explore this area like never before. I know if you call it home already, that's great, but maybe you'll feel even more special about it as you learn more about some of the stories that make this such a special part of the country. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I will see you back here next week for another new episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit iamnorthwestarkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.